All right, everyone. So let me introduce myself first. Hi, I am Shivani. I am a registered dietitian, certified sleep therapist, and I have been practicing for over 24 years now, actually, and very excited about what I do. I love it. But today, I am more excited about helping everybody learn how to grow their own organic indoor garden. So we live in Michigan. We know that, we have small spaces and half of the season we can grow things outside. So, I am so excited to invite this wonderful, wonderful person. She's so inspiring with all the, of course, with the knowledge that she has, but more than that, she is so organized and she has motivated me to have my own indoor garden. So I can tell you that she has a lot to share. So I would like to invite our guest speaker today, Dr. Tracy Elizabeth Teasley, who is also a clinician, a wellness advocate, and a proud right food choice client. And I'm very excited about that. We have known each other for quite some time now, and I'm very, 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 very fortunate to be able to, work with her work, and we share lot of information. I learned from her how to grow things and how organized she is. But let's, learn today the basics of organic gardening, and I wanted to make it a part of our, we run a Wow for Women program, and I wanted to make it a part of our wellness team, or the wellness for everyone, because the way it is going, we don't know what we are getting outside. And Dr. Tracy, at a personal level, she's very, very conscious about what goes in her body. And because I have worked with her, I know that everything she makes, eats, grows, it's all organic, chemical free, non GMO, and all of those things. But I was more excited about to learn about it and grow it myself. So, with that, help me welcome Dr. Tracy. And please welcome, please have your questions in the chat box. And if you have any, we will take it at the end. Okay, help me invite Dr. Tracy.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to my session. I'm so excited. I've got friends, sisters, aunts, cousins, family, friends. I got everything. People I've worked with. So I've got people representing pretty much every phase of my life in here. So I'm so glad that you all are here. And I'm going to get right into it. Disclaimer, all of the photos in here are from my garden. No stock photos. This is real time. I've been taking pictures of my garden for about 4 years. So, in the spirit of my maternal grandfather, TH, who was a photographer, I did my good thing here. So, on this cover is one of my favorite photos. I have a metal sign that says amazing, and I just put it in the garden. I found it in the yard or in the garage somewhere, and one day while I was out gardening, the way that the sun was amazing was on ended up showing up on the side of my garden. So I took a picture of it. So I thought it'd be nice to have it as my title slide. So this presentation is called My Garden, My Refuge. My health is my wealth. So I started gardening because I couldn't find chives at the grocery store during the pandemic. I couldn't find dry chives, real chives, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just grow them myself. Like this is just too much. Okay, let me see if I can. Okay, there we go. So So today we're going to learn the basics and benefits of organic gardening. I've used it to decrease stress. It helped me significantly through my grief journey. Of course, it gets me outside into the sunshine, just healthy living, and it's just joyful. And sometimes I do my morning meditation as well. And there are, of course, other benefits as well. I'm going to also share my garden care practices. And then we're going to talk about drafting a plan for growing herbs inside. So you up to the task? All right. So, do you want to be a gardener? So, what I want you to do is in the chat, I want you to place the letter that describes you in the chat. And so, we're using the acronym for herbs. So H, if you planted a seed when you attended elementary school, I want you to put H in the chat. No, the letter E, if you've kept a house plant alive for at least a year, put the letter E. If you planted an herb or vegetable since 2020, that's pre-pandemic, put an R in the chat. Put a B in the chat if you tend to flowers or plants inside and outside of your home. And then S, put an S in the chat if you recently cooked something from your own garden. So let's see what's in the chat. All right, I got a couple single letters. Okay. We got some house plant gardeners. Okay. Okay. Becca Boo did remember elementary school. I love it. Okay, we got okay, an R. Okay, ooh, and Shivani and S. I'm proud of Shivani. On the S. Okay, Shivani had tomato in her salads. Okay, so okay, Sherry has. Okay, Julie has. Okay, Rob. Rob has hers. Look at this. Okay. Valerie, I love that. So this is amazing. Okay, let me get out of the chat. So wonderful. So I'm so glad you are agreeable to the chat. And as you can see, here's a picture of what I've harvested from one of my mini hauls. So and I decided I bought a wooden tray with handles from Costco because I was using like bowls and plates and dishes. I'm like, I'm just gonna get something for this. So it works wonders. It's an extra large one with handles, so I can put all my tools on it and walk outside. So this is my journey. So as I said, I started in during the pandemic. I couldn't find any chives. And so I was like, you know what? I know how to solve this. My both sets of grandparents were gardeners. My maternal grandmother always had a garden in her backyard on Earl Monroe Street. My grandfather owned several, my paternal grandfather owned several properties in the city. And so he would get up early in the morning to go tend his gardens, and then he would knock on our doors during his visits. So it wasn't uncommon for our grandfather to be knocking at the door at 6:30 in the morning, and everybody had to wake up and greet granddaddy. So so that's the tradition because he was always up tending to his gardens. And then of course my grandmother would always have a little, after he passed, kept a little garden, if you would, and of course flowers and things. And then my father always had a garden in our backyard. So I got it honest. And so I am appreciative of that legacy. Another reason why it was because it was very practical. I couldn't find chives, but also I was working with Shivani about making sure that I was doing all of the things that I could to optimize my health and my gut health. So I was like, I'm gonna do a garden, and Shivani was very, very specific about me making sure that if I'm gonna do it, it has to be organic. So what I did is I decided to do a raised bed garden because I have critters in my yard. I have squirrels, I have rabbits, and I have a ravenous woodchuck that I call Chucky. So I had to do create a raised bed garden so he couldn't get to the goods. So that was my reason of why I have a lot of yard space. However, I didn't want to feed Chucky. So hence the raised bed garden. I bought it from Wayfair online, and I got a cedar because I did a lot of research, and cedar, I don't want anything with chemicals that would leach into it. And then as the years have gone on, I've added to it. So in July 24, I call it my expansion. So I actually got in 23, I added another raised bed. So I have two raised bed. They're 8 square feet, 2 feet by 4 feet. And then I have grow bags, and then I have buckets, if you will. And then June 2025, this is a picture of my garden near the beginning of when I planted it. June 25, and you can see the raised beds next to each other. So this is located behind my home next to where the air conditioning unit is. So it's right in the back. It's in between the deck and the air conditioning unit. Um, so yeah, so that's that on that. Any questions? Right? Okay, I'm gonna keep going. So so here's my garden, right? So it's all organic, the soil, even the marigolds, and I put marigolds around to deter critters. It actually helps, believe it or not. And all of the plants are organic. And I generally get my plants from, I go online to a place called growjoy.com. However, I most of my herbs I get from Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's has very nice organic herbs, and I go there and all of your stores. I found the chives that I have. I found them at Meyer, which is a local grocery store here. So always check out your garden stores, and you'll be surprised your grocery stores as well. So you can find those things there. And so you can see here the buckets. I have potatoes in the grow bags. This is mint, cauliflower, cabbage, snow peas. There's radishes back here, kale back here. And then I have lettuce, onions, parsley, chives in the middle, tomatoes over here, and you can't see the pepper plant. And I ended up having to move the pepper plant because this year I pushed the edges on the spacing of my plants. So the pepper just wasn't growing because the tomato roots were taking up the space. So I moved the pepper and it's growing. So I figured it out. So sometimes you have to improvise. Let's see. So, one of the key things that I do when I plant is I use a companion planting technique because I wanted to ensure that I didn't have pesticides and things. If I'm going through all of the trouble to have organic garden, I wanted it to be truly organic. So, one of the things that I learned is that it's beneficial to plant companion plants next to each other because they repel pests. So all of the pests that love to chew on basil hate tomatoes. So that's why I put my basil next to tomatoes and then vice versa. So that way when I go out, so I told you I don't want Chucky eating my food. I don't want the beetles eat my food either, right? So that's what I do, and it's helped tremendously. And what you'll see here is a picture of the planning that I do when I make my garden. And I actually go on the internet and I put in the name of the vegetable. And I'm like, okay, I'm thinking about putting a pepper next to tomato. Is that a companion plant or not? So I actually plant it with sticky notes before I go outside and plant it. Um, Another thing that I want to say is that I plant by square foot. So I only get plants that only take up about a foot of space. If it needs 3 feet, like a lot of things like squash and watermelon, I don't do it. I don't have the space for it. So I just do things that'll stay in a space. So you have to really be careful when you're planning to be sure you have the space for it so it can have optimal growth. So here is, you don't have to get a raised bed. And you can see my raised beds back there. That's my deck there. So you can use a bucket, all of the what the home houseware, home ware score, Ace Hardware, Home Depot, the home stores, they have buckets, and then you just like poke holes in the bottom and you can plant things in. All of this is organic, right? Anything, clay pot, whatever. So it doesn't have to be fancy spancy. So here's me. So these are pictures for when I first started my garden this year. And generally I would start my garden. So first frost is about second week of May in Michigan. So this year I put my herbs in May, and then I put in my other vegetables in June. May was still really, really cool. So I think next year I'm probably just going to put everything in June. I'm seeing a much better crop because I waited. So it's all an experiment. So I want to show you these pots here. These are called irrigation pots. I plant them underground and I put water in it, and the water seeps out from the clay pot to water the roots. And I found out about these by following a young lady called Farmanique on Instagram. And she had a contest, and I was one of the winners. So she sent me one. So when I got one, I'm like, well, I have like 8 square feet, so I need to buy three more. So here, hence the pictures here. Then of course, this is me. You got to take a selfie, right? In the garden, right? And I generally visit my garden daily. Sometimes when I get really busy, um, I can't, but at least every other day. And at the very least, I can peek out of my dining room window to make sure it's not overgrowing and things are going well. It's very, very therapeutic. And it allows me to harvest vegetables that, may be growing abundantly, because you might go one day and if it rains 2 days and go, the chives could be like a foot tall. So it's a matter of really taking care of it. And I religiously watch the weather app. So this is how I know. So it's like, oh, I don't have to use my own water. I'll just let the God water my plants. So as I said, I mentioned some of the resources that I use. Here's some of the people that I follow on Instagram. I'm sure if you're on any of the socials, they're probably on Facebook and maybe some other things, and or have websites. So these are just people that I've learned from. I've done classes. I've looked at their websites. Grow Oya is the place where I bought the irrigation vessels from. And here's me with my winning. This was me when I got my prize in the mail. So this is actually the irrigation pot, and then this is actually what you use. Do you just to measure how many inches deep the seed goes into the ground? So I got that as well. So this is the hard part. So getting your seeds in, watering them in the sun, harvesting is a lot of work. Like I get it. I so much respect to the farmers, right? So when you have a garden, you have to harvest it as often as you can, because the more you harvest, the more it grows. So what I want you to do is take a look. This is a picture from, I think, Saturday, just this past Saturday. Can you name any of the herbs and vegetables? Just slam it in the chat. And this is a culmination of the things I planted on the deck and in my 2 raised bed gardens. And I'll give the, oh, I'm sorry, you all. Let me go back. Previous. There we go. I was trying to get to the chat. Any guesses? Okay, let me see. Okay, tomato. Okay, somebody said beets, collards. Okay, thyme, chives, onion. Okay, watercress, chives, radish. Okay, okay. All right, so let me go. Let me get out of that. So let me just walk through, and I'm gonna have to move us over to this side. So I'm going upper left, and I'm gonna go clockwise, starting with the far left. So this is rosemary. This is mint. These are actually the red onions that I harvested about a month ago. And so what I've learned with onions is when you pull them, you have to let them dry so it gets that little scaly outer shell to it. So that's the result of that. And I actually cut off the dried onion leaves and actually put it in the freezer, because I'm gonna make something with that. And we'll talk about that later. You can barely see it, but this is a big bunch of parsley, basil, the bottom right, tomatoes. This is actually cabbage leaves. This is just a little bit of oregano because I'd already harvested oregano maybe about a week or so prior. So these were just the ones that were really tall, because oregano will flower and you don't want that. So you have to really stay on top of oregano. And then of course the chives. And then here is a rose. I actually have a rose garden. It's called the Teasley Family Memorial Rose Garden. That's in memory of my parents and three of my brothers who are already deceased. So this is a flower from my brother's plant, Eric. So I even put a flower in there too. So so not bad. You're pretty good at knowing what vegetables there are. So So harvesting is not just getting it out of your garden, it's preparing it for your pantry. So you have, whatever you decide to plant, you have to be a student of it. So you know exactly how to use it because you'll harvest it. And if you don't properly care for it, it'll die. So if you take all of that care to keep it alive to harvest, you want to keep it alive long enough so you can use it. So for instance, excuse me, I have oregano here and thyme. I like to dry my oregano and thyme. So I put them in brown paper bags. And you'll see up here a little staple. So what does I do? I use a twist tie that you get from bread or other, like your garbage bags. I twist tie it and then I staple it to the bag and then I fold it down and then I just sit the bag up and let it dry over the course of weeks. And then I eventually just pull it off the vine and put it in a herb shaker. And then parsley likes to be in water. So you can't see my little mason jar. So I always keep about a cup of purified water in a mason jar. And I put it in the refrigerator and I generally put a Ziploc bag over it. And then here you'll see our chives. So I chop those up and I put those in the freezer. Just an example. So Saturday, you know that picture that we just saw of can you name that herb and vegetable? It took me a couple hours to prep all that because I cleaned it, prepped it, dried it, took it off the vine, all of that. So it takes time, but it's worth it because I'm able to incorporate all of this into my meal. I don't even have to buy these things from the store. I have it at home. So I just save that money from spending $2.99 for a bushel of parsley. Mine keeps growing back here at home. So, and of course, the more you harvest, the more you grow, right? So here are two of my favorite foods that I make with my harvest. So this is basil pesto, and then this is vegetable stock. So remember I told you I cut off the tops of the red onions after they dried. So that is going to be a part of the next vegetable stock that I make. So vegetable stock is, Shivani taught me this, is I always, when I chop vegetables, I keep save the tops of the vegetables and put them in the freezer. And then I use them to make vegetable stock. So I just put them in a skillet, stir fry it with some garlic, and then add water and boil it for 30 minutes. And then I strain out all the old vegetables. And then I put the vegetable stock in mason jars, the canning jars with the lids. And then I use it when I cook quinoa, when I stir fry my vegetables, when I boil things, and it gives an additional flavor. So I don't have to use as much seasoning to make things taste well. So my other favorite things, I love putting chives and eggs. I love putting parsley on chicken. It gives kind of a salty taste to it. And of course, oregano and like homemade tomato sauce. I have tons of oregano. I gotta amp up my oregano use because it's taking over. So there we are. So that's my journey. So now I want us to think about how we can do our own plan. So here are the steps that I want you to consider. I want you to think about selecting a container and choosing a location. So, depending upon where you are, there is still time to plant outside. For instance, my parsley has lasted and chives till well into December. So, some plants are very cold weather hardy. Like my kale is doing much better now because it's gotten cooler. It does okay with the sun, but now that we're getting into cooler temperatures at night, the leaves are amazing. So I want you to select your container, choose a location, and then I want you to plant your organic garden. And it could just be, you know what, I love to put cilantro in my food. So you're going to go get a cilantro plant from your local garden store or grocery store, and you're going to figure out where you're going to put it. And of course, you're going to do your research, right? So you want to figure out you have the proper lighting. One of the mistakes I made when I tried to do herbs in the house is my house doesn't get enough sun. I have lots of trees that create a lot of shade. So they just weren't getting enough sun in my house. So I'm gonna keep experimenting to figure. You'll see here I have a microgreens grow kit. I could grow this in the house. No problem because I have a skylight in the kitchen. So definitely think about that. Shop for your supplies. So depending upon how serious you are about this will determine how much you invest in garden supplies. Assemble your organic garden and water, maintain, then harvest. That's it. So here are my suggestions for fall herbs. Those of you who are in warmer climates, you have a lot more leeway when it comes with this. But for my Northeast Michigan people, this is what I want you to consider. These are the recommendations that I have. Chive, cilantro, mint, oregano, parsley, rosemary, thyme. And I'm going to tell you, if you do mint, be sure you put mint in a container by itself. Mint just grows in a spiral. So it'll just take over. You might want to put it in something by itself because it might choke out other things. Any questions?
I do, Dr. Tracy. Oh my gosh, that's so much learning. So first, when you were talking about you talked about the container. Is there a particular combination of soil that you use or a kind of soil that you use, or is it the same soil for all the plant? And what do you use? Like, do you combine few things?
So I get the organic raised bed garden soil from Menards or Home Depot. You can also go to Lowe's, any
Raised.
of the stores. And I do the raised bed garden organic in
Mm-hmm.
my grow bags, the buckets, and in my raised bed containers.
Okay. Okay. Great. And then for the follow-up question, so when you taught me, like, you can go to Grow Joy website, or we can go to the local store, get some organic seeds. So um for I know potatoes you told me to get from Grow Joy or some places. So and potato, I think you taught me, or like doing it in the bags. Do you ever do in like the bags?
Yeah,
The
my potatoes are in the bag. So
Yes,
I
yes,
started
exactly.
late last year, so mine look like they look like French fries, my potatoes, because I started too late. But this year I'm thinking I'm really gonna have sweet because I started in June.
So can we do that indoor as well inside the house if somebody has a basement with a grow light, or no, it has to be
You
outside?
absolutely could, and that's why I said you have to do the research. And there are actually a lot of hydroponic
Mm-hmm.
systems
Mm-hmm.
out there to help. You really don't have to kill yourself. Like just
Yeah.
Google it, put
Mm-hmm.
in what it is you want to grow, and it'll tell you exactly what the conditions are for it.
Yeah.
And depending upon what climate that you're in, and in the space that you have.
Yeah.
Another thing about the soil, Shivani, is during the winter time, I do get organic mulch
Mm-hmm.
that I put on top of, I think it's like a organic mulch slash fertilizer that I put on top of the soil because by November, I've pulled up most things. The only thing that's left is pretty much the oregano and the thyme, parsley and the chives. Everything else I pulled up.
Okay.
So I generally get some organic mulch slash fertilizer just to compost to just feed the soil during the harsh winter. So when spring comes, I can just kind of till all of it together and start over. I generally end up having to add more soil because of erosion. It just ends up, when you water the things, it seeps out and things. So yeah, that helps a lot. So I have a gardening budget because it takes money. However, as I say, what I save and purchasing at the store. Like I rarely buy lettuce during the summertime. Like I just put lettuce back out because there's lettuce, some lettuce varieties that do very, very well in hot summer, and then there's some that are more cool weather. So I barely buy lettuce, yeah, and lettuce adds up.
That's great. That's great. So Julie is asking, is there an ideal method for harvesting basil and other plants that keep on producing?
So most of the plants that I harvest, I always cut above the leaf. So basil in particular, you only want to snip off about a third of the plant. So when you see the basil plant, so say the basil plant is like the length of my finger. So I have three parts to my finger, right? So you'd want to cut to right here, and you want to cut right above where the leaf is. So if the leaves that are budding are here, you'll cut to about right here. And then you just cut, and then over time it'll grow back. So I've had so much basil this year. I generally have four basil plants because I like to make basil pesto
Mhm.
with it to make with my chickpea pasta. So I have four plants and I got them from Trader Joe's. And most plants are like that. Thyme, chives, you just cut, pretty low. Parsley, you cut from the outside going in. Um, and the mint the same way. You just cut it right above the leaf. And mint will flower if you don't cut it back. So I actually have mint in my freezer that I have to take my aunt and cousin. So I have mint for them, and I have mint in my water. This is my
Awesome.
mint.
Yes,
So,
flavored water.
yeah.
Okay. And somebody is asking, what about dill? Is that good for fall as a fall herb? Sherry is asking.
That I don't know. We'd actually have to research that. I haven't grown deal. So I don't know. But as I said, I would just say try it. And if you're concerned about it being outside, try it in the inside. Because
Okay.
that's the fun part about it. I mean, you have to take yourself seriously. You're gonna have probably some major fails. So I tested out. I wonder what would happen if I put my Brussels sprouts on the deck. Chucky and the squirrels ate them. So that was a major fail, right? I was like, maybe if I put a little mint around it, didn't work. They just pushed the mint over. I watched them and ate the Brussels sprouts. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna put it back in my raised bed. So you just have to try things and see. I tried broccoli for 3 years. I couldn't get the broccoli to work, so I just eliminated broccoli. I'm like, we'll just do kale and cabbage. I mean, it depends. They were really the florets were just miserable. I don't know what it was. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a rest. I tried beets several times. They just didn't do as well. I've done well with carrots. My radishes were amazing. I actually have some more I need to put in a salad in the in my refrigerator now. So, if dill is something you use quite a bit, I would say start with that. Always start with what it is you're going to eat. That's what I did. Like I use chives, right? Like I did tomatoes because my mom loved BLTs, bacon, lettuce, tomato sandwiches. So I was like, well, I could grow the tomato, right? And the lettuce. So just start with what it is that you eat frequently and see how it does, but always do your research. But dill isn't one I've done, and it's not one that I use a lot, but I think it would be amazing.
Great, great. Thank you for that. And Mary is saying, I'm novice for indoor gardening. Do you recommend starting from a seeds or plants?
um if you want to be sure you're not going to be frustrated, start with a plant. If you're ambitious, start from a seed.
Okay.
So my garden, and I'm going to show, let me go to the next slide. This is me unboxing the plants from GrowJoy. So because Michigan doesn't always have as much time for warm weather plants, what
Mm-hmm.
you should do is either start your seeds inside in the spring,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll slowly transition them outside and then put it into your garden, or just buy the baby plants, because that way you already know I'm starting at a positive place. If you start from a seed, it's a toss up, right, on if it's going to sprout or whatever. So I just make the investment to get them. So you see me kind of unboxing
I,
Um,
I love that video, Tracy.
yeah,
That's
I
like real
just
time. Yes. And for the marigold that you mentioned in the beginning, that it helps to keep the critters away and everything. So should we plant marigold with almost near all the plants, or are there any particular plants that we should make sure we have marigold?
I say make a border of marigolds. So I bought marigolds from Growjoy. These things are huge. Like they're ginormous. So I planted one on the north, south, and east, west on each raised bed garden.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps. I don't tend to have deer. I've seen deer like 2 blocks away. It's a rare sighting, so I'm not worried about that. It's just the smaller creatures like your rabbits, squirrels, and woodchucks.
Okay.
So one summer it was really, really hot. And I noticed the squirrels ate the lettuce because they needed the water because it was so hot and we hadn't had rain for a while. So I read I'm gonna get a doggy a bowl from the dollar store and I'm gonna put water on it and I'm gonna put it at the furthest at one of the trees you see on the back of my yard here. And
Mhm.
I'm gonna so if they get thirsty, they can stay away from my garden. So if it's really, really hot, I'm gonna, go on the offense with the squirrels. So we'll see what happens with that.
That's a good idea. And
Yeah.
follow-up question, somebody is saying, I have raccoon raiders. Can I grow anything inside?
I don't know what you're gonna do about raccoons, but I've seen raccoons and possums in my yard. But generally, if you have the marigolds, they just don't tend to bother with it. It's just kind of like they don't want to be bothered. So
Mhm.
as I said, just start small and just see,
Mhm.
what's going on because you just never know. So I started just with one raised bed because I didn't know because Chucky, woodchucks can climb up trees. I've seen them go up trees. So they could very well get to the garden, but they just don't disturb it. So I'm like, okay, I think I can do this. And this is my 4th year.
Awesome. Awesome. And one last question. Out of all the steps you mentioned, is there one that you think beginners often overlook or underestimate when starting their organic garden?
I think not doing making sure you have the proper conditions for planting. So you're like, okay, I'm gonna plant cilantro. So you go to your local grocery store, you get your cilantro, then you bring it home, and then you put it, in your window in the kitchen. Well, cilantro, and I haven't planted it, but let's just say cilantro is very much susceptible to changes in weather. So if you have it by a window, and you're in Michigan, it's gonna get drafty. So that might not be the ideal condition. So really, really, really understanding what the plants like and don't like. It's just like taking care of an animal, right? A pet. Like, okay, I know, they need this to be well or be healthy. It's really, really, really important to do that. So I think that's probably the thing. Like I just underestimated, like, oh my goodness. Like even with my garden, when I showed you the sticky notes where I planned the garden. So I'm thinking, okay, what's going to get more sun or not? Because where I have my raised bed condition, the back of the raised bed closest to the home gets more shade. Those in the front get more sun. So I had to be strategic
Yeah,
with with that. Excuse me.
you good?
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, great. So all good questions. And for now, like for the so you said that chive, cilantro, mint, oregano, parsley. So if we are going to grow them, are we going to grow them indoors, or we are growing them outdoors with marigold or without marigold?
At this point of the year, either
Okay, okay. So it'll be
they'll
fine.
do they'll do well.
Okay.
Because as I told you, I had chives. I had parsley, I think even in January this year. Like it was just mild enough. It really didn't get cold enough. So I was like, I just tested it out and it wasn't a big, I harvested most of it. So you'll be surprised how far it can go. And it could be just in a pot. You can put it on your front porch or, on the back deck, if you will, or inside. But make sure you have enough sun. My house, I get sun, but it wasn't enough for where I had my herbs positioned. So now I've done some rearranging in the home. So I'm thinking the buffet that I have in the dining room might be a better place for me to place some herbs. So I'm going to test some indoor herbs this year. And I have my microgreen set. So so I
Yes.
got microgreens, and I bought this at Menards, the
And that's
microgreen set.
organic
You
too.
can buy this like at Ace Hardware or something, and
Mm-hmm.
it's 7 days. So if you don't want to do anything long, you don't want a long-term commitment, you can at least do 7 days.
Awesome. And thank you so much, Dr. Tracy. And for every one of you, I think I thought I had a brown thumb. I can never grow anything. But with the help of Dr. Tracy and how she guided me, look at this, what I have today from my garden. I have pepper, I have tomato, and look at this. Dr. Tracy told me not to take it out, my potatoes, because if you can see this, my potatoes. So last year
That's what's
when I was
up.
when I was growing potatoes, they were like I was harvesting too early. You know how some of those people who are very impatient when you grow the seed and you keep poking the seed, is it growing yet? Is it growing yet? That's kind of a person. So you want to make sure your patience is very
Right.
important with plants. I think that's what I have learned in general. That's something, we all I guess with the growing, garden and everything. So any other question anyone has? What is the microgreen set? Okay, somebody is asking. Are you sharing slide or did you? Okay, let me just make sure. Stop sharing. Yeah, go ahead. So somebody is asking Dr. Tracy. Where did the question is? The microgreen slide. Micro. What are microgreens? That's what their question is.
So this is basically like baby plants that like if you think about like bean sprouts or whatever. So it's a version of bean sprouts. So it could like there are broccoli microgreens, there are kale microgreens, cabbage microgreens, and they end up sprouting out like this. And then you can just cut them and harvest them and add them to your sandwiches and to your salad, however you want to do it. So it's just like a micro version of the larger plants. And it's really cool because it's really nutrient rich, even more so than the plants that you would plant even in my garden. So that's why I was like, well, I'm gonna do my microgreens inside. This will probably be what I'll do mostly through the winter because I have so much time trying to tend to this stuff. And microgreens, you gotta water a certain time every day, 7 days, you gotta harvest it. I'm like, you know what? This will be my winter project.
Yes.
Because once I get all this stuff together, as you can see, I've been busy. So yeah.
Awesome. Yes, and microgreens are another healthy way of adding a lot of B vitamins and nutrients, antioxidant phytonutrients, because the smaller plants, these smaller tiny creatures, they carry a lot of nutrition. So they're very good. We have some growing, we have Indian seed called fenugreek seed that we are growing as like a microgreen, and we try to put it on. You can sprout them also. So you don't have to have a full blown plant. You can sprout some seeds as well, and we can talk more about that in like later sessions. But
Right.
thank you so much, Dr. Tracy. And
And you see this rabbit, I spotted a rabbit in my yard, so that's
I
him.
can't.
And let me do the hold on, let me get to my next and happy gardening, everybody.
Are you sharing a slide, Dr. Tracy?
I am. Can you see it?
Okay, let me, I guess.
Oh
See.
wait, let me go back.
Yeah.
I'm not now because I clicked too much. Hold on.
All right, Dr. Tracy. So, that was wealth of information. So excited about it. I'm so ready to just grow something, and I'm happy that I was growing something. And as I mentioned before, knowing Dr. Tracy for so many years, I know how authentic she is and how particular she is in everything that she eats, that grows, what goes in her mouth, what goes in her kitchen. So I hope to have more of these sessions with Dr. Tracy, maybe more in depth, and we will definitely have everyone, come join for the session. And thank you, everyone, for coming. You guys, have
Yes,
a good
thank you to all my
time.
people. Thank you so much.
Yes, is everybody ready to grow their own garden now?
I hope so.
Right? Everybody
Try
is ready.
something, okay? Just one something. Oh, and I hope you all saw Robin put lettusgrow.com.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, so I'm definitely gonna take a look at that as well. Thank you for that.
Okay, and Grow Joy is another one that you have told me before, long back, right?
Right, right, right,
Grow
right.
Joy, yeah, Grow Joy.
Hmm.
And the planters and the soil and everything, I actually was taking a lot of notes. So I think I got most of the things. So only thing now we have to do is get started somewhere.
Get started, folks. Hop to
If
it.
I
I want to
can,
see. I
if
want to
I
see.
can do this, if I can do this, you guys can do this.
Right.
I have a brown
From
thumb.
brown thumb to green thumb. That'll be our next one. I
Yay!
love that pepper is nice. Look at that.
Yeah, this is nice, organic.
Oh,
Yes.
that's so great, Shivani.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Tracy. Have a good night, guys. And if you
Yes, thank you, everybody. God bless.
all
Thank
right, and if you
you.
want to
Enjoy
reach
your
me, I'm
evening
at
and your
Right Foot Coach.
weekend.
All right. Have a good night.
Shivani, did you stop the recording?
Yeah, I'm just gonna stop it right now.
Okay, good.
Thank you. This was awesome. Thank you so much. So I'd like to get started with